Good morning, spiders. I hope you've been doing well. I'm rather nervous today because, well, not exactly my fear of going against Ash's instructions, but rather the repercussions of it. Because I intend to visit a certain Summit Council member today. Rain. Certain Summit Council member who's been holding on to a little something that originally belonged to me, so I think it's high time I visit them. It will be somewhat difficult to find them. I don't believe I've been in avian territory since, well, I may have been there once or twice, centuries ago, to negotiate diplomacy, but even so, I doubt there is anything I'll recognize from the old avian civilization, because, well, the Solaris that I knew apparently has long been reduced to ruins, much like this castle. What a strange world it has become. I'm just thinking of what I would say to them. I mean, I mostly suspect that they'll be able to turn against the Avian Council Prefect for having been imprisoned by them for over 200 years. Sure, we might not know each other well, but surely me being their sire should count for a bit more than being the one who held them captive and used them for so long. I'm quite confident that I'll be able to re-establish the broken bonds between us, if given be given the chance to finally speak face to face, sire to fledgling. We should really make some more progress on this place soon enough if I am to welcome them here as a new home. I mean, I'm sort of embarrassed about putting Evie in that makeshift cell. Really, I should be able to give my own fledgling something better than that, but oh well. I'm sure the ball I mentioned to Snow would also be a wonderful opportunity to reforge the bonds that be. Oh yeah, she did indeed make herself a lot more comfortable than she would have been before. So really, she can't complain all that much. It's still better than being homeless. The vampires sure are in a sorry state. Better things are surely around the corner. I forget what the phrase is. Something spera amelior, something like that. I hope for better things. My Latin is a wee bit rusty, I must admit. Oh, hell's bells. I really can't put this off any longer. I think it's high time I go there, as I do believe that my useful little warpstone, yes, should take me there in the wink of an eye. yes, this place doesn't exactly seem familiar. But it's about as lavish and extravagant as I remember bird architecture being. Then again, most of Rothmore Castle isn't exactly subtle either. That's quite a marvelous bit of architecture indeed. I can certainly appreciate that. Now, if what my little sources told me is correct, then this ought to be the place. Hello?
Oh. Hello. Can I help you?
Yes, please. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Aloysius de Rothmore, Viscount of Rothmore Castle. I am, shall we say, a diplomat of sorts of the vampire faction.
Uh-huh. Why don't I come outside?
As you wish, as you wish.
What brings you here?
Yes, well, I'm sorry to drop by so unannounced, but, well, some recent events have happened that have, revealed to me that a certain vampire I once sired is, well, alive and well, and I previously believed them to be dead, and now I find they are in your custody, so I thought it high time to have, hopefully a friendly word with you.
Well, what's your intention?
Well, you see, many years ago, while the war was still going, I happened to sire an avian by the name of Io. I'm sure you're familiar.
Oh, incredibly so.
Who, well, they are the only fledgling I've ever sired in my more than half a millennium of lifetime, so... But I'm afraid that once they were sired, they very quickly ran before I had the chance to properly introduce them to the customs and knowledge befit of a vampire, so...
I see.
I'm afraid I have quite a few centuries of sirely duties, shall we say, to catch up to.
I see. And am I correct in assuming that you are here to attempt to bargain for them to be released into your care instead of my own?
Well, it was my understanding from speaking to the Prince Asher that Io was placed into your custody because of certain transgressions committed against your person.
Ah, yes. You know, I don't take too kindly to being bitten, whether I'm immune or not.
Very understandable, of course, which is why I... Well, I would be more than welcome to relieve, shall we say, the Avian Council of this responsibility and take it as my own, as they are my natural-made fledgling.
Relieve? You speak of them as though they are a pest, instead of a person.
Well, as you said yourself, you were attacked, and on top of that, I imagine, despite the fact that they are more than 200 years old, you are... Well, I'm sure you've noticed their erratic behavior, which is not unbecoming of a young fledgling vampire. And I'm afraid that all members of the Avian faction lack the necessary knowledge on how to teach them to refrain from giving in to their baser impulses.
Well, I'm sure you'll be happy to know that you are sorely mistaken in that matter.
Oh? How so?
We are fully well equipped to handle Io's presence. In fact, they have been here. And they haven't caused a single problem. Not one.
Well, I can imagine that being so if they've been kept in a cell, as they have been for the previous 200 years, albeit in slightly more comfortable circumstances, I imagine, rather than being used for one's venom. Or dare I say, exploited, even.
Why should I even consider releasing them to you?
Well, aside from the fact that me being their sire gives me a certain, well, shall we say, natural right to be their custodian, shall I call it? Well, shall I say there is a great personal interest in getting to know my soul fledgling on a level that I was so painfully robbed of 200 years ago.
Though, to my understanding, Io never asked for this, now did they?
Few vampires ever do.
You could argue that you are instead the one who robbed them.
Well, if I had the opportunity to speak to them, and as you may be aware, there is a certain natural connection between fledglings and their sires. I'm sure they are not far away as we speak. Then I would tell them that I am one of the few persons who in their lifetime has never once betrayed them, nor have I sought to exploit them. Well, I suppose it wouldn't be possible for me to speak to them for myself, at least for once.
Not from here, no.
A pity. But I understand, and it is on your terms after all.
They are in my care. And quite frankly, I don't take kindly to you assuming that you can take better care of them than I can. See, Io's one of mine. Whether or not you sired them is entirely irrelevant.
Interesting. This coming from the prefect of the same council that told me 200 years ago, no, Io cannot be returned into your custody as we have put them to death for treason against the council.
Well, I was not alive 200 years ago now, was I?
No, but
I'm rather young compared to you.
Quite right. But everything about you screams that you are a son of that very same council.
It will do you well to remember that I outrank you. I stand on the same ground that your very prince walks upon.
Very well.
I will not be released into your care.
I see. Well, I just hope that in light of this, Io would not doubt that they are being cared for all the right reasons. After all, you seem to care for Io far more than you would any of your average citizens.
Are you implying that there's an emotional relationship between us? Because if you are, I don't take kindly to that accusation. There's nothing emotional involved in this transaction between us. Io will be released on my terms once I have deemed them fit to be reintroduced to the world.
Very well. When that time comes, I suppose I might still have a chance to get to meet them and speak to them properly.
That chance is not today.
Yes, that point you've made quite clear, I would say.
Do not let me catch you on avian territory again.
As you wish, as you wish. Well, I'd rather hoped our tete-a-tete would have been under more amiable circumstances, but very well, if this is the path you have chosen, then I have no choice but to obey your wishes.
This is the path that I have chosen. And rest assured, your prince will hear of this interaction between us. After all, we are co-workers.
That's certainly true. I doubt he'll have much interest for it, but all the same, due process and all that. Well then, I doubt it has any use for me to take up any more of your precious time.
Get home safe.
I bid you goodbye. And frankly, what did I expect from a stuck-up member of that council? Do you know, when it comes to arrogance, there are those members of the Alien Council that could match Charon himself, and I'm not surprised, but nonetheless displeased to see that that has not changed in 200 years, and no doubt several changings of the gods. If only I'd had the chance to speak to Io again. I know they're near. I can feel it. I know they are, but the bonds between a sire and their fledgling is unbreakable, but if I go and find them now, then And I risk... Well, Ash should already be notified of this. That's enough trouble on its own if I get caught trespassing. It'll be double trouble. What right does he have? What right does he have? The Avian Council saw I was fit to be nothing more than a milking cow for venom for 200 years, and now this stuck-up little pretty boy prefect decides he's taken a fancy to... No. I'm not tasting victory today, but nor is this the last of my attempts to see Isle. There will be more, rest assured. But for now I have nothing more left that can be achieved here. Still raining. No personal relationship. Does he think I was born yesterday? He's positively smitten the way he speaks about them. You might not expect it from me, spiders, but even I can recognize the folly of young love at first glance. Aside from the fact that he thinks the sun shines from his arse. Well then, that was cut rather short for my liking, but well, I suppose it's back to Mara then. I might have to make some calls to find out where Mara is now and see if our little fish can find its way home, so long as the little bird remains firmly in its gilded avian cage. Courtesy of the Avian Council. Rather a disappointment, but really, I shouldn't have expected anything less from the avians. They've always been so stuck up. They put quite a few vampires to shame in that respect. Very, very well. There's really no use moping about it. It'll be far more useful for me to catch some rest and let my mind settle down for a bit. After all, there are new plans to be written. Very well then. Until we meet again, spiders.